trust me when I say that when you put on that leg, it's like having his leg back. It's like amazing.
How does a custom rear limb prosthetic help Tripawd Husky Boris love life on 3 legs? Find out from Tara and Orthopets founder Martin Kauffman on this episode of Tripawd Talk Radio. Welcome back to Tripawd Talk Radio, episode number 113. We're excited to continue our discussion about prosthetics for amputee pets with Orthopets founder Martin Kauffman. We now have Tara Eichenberger with us to provide a pet parent perspective on prosthetics for tripods. Her Husky Boris is a happy canine customer loving life on 3 legs with help from a custom-made rear limb prosthesis made by Orthopets. Tara and Boris are joining us from Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, proving that Orthopets is a world leader in veterinary orthotic devices. Be sure to catch episode number 112, where we talk in more detail about the latest developments in pet prosthetics, and we look forward to hearing about Boris and how his is working out. So thank you both once again for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to be here too.
So, Tara, tell us about Boris, because I don't even know the backstory on him. Tell us a little bit about how he joined your family and the reason for his amputation.
Okay, so Boris is a husky. He's now almost 2 years old. He joined our family because we already had his brother. So his brother is Igor. And the place where we got Igor from, we sort of visited again after a while, and we saw that they still had Boris. And then my mom was basically looking at him, and she's like, "Oh my God, he's so cute, and he looks so lonely, and he's so sad. We can't just leave him here." So we took him home, right? So yeah, that's sort of how we got him. And then the reason he lost his leg, or how he lost his leg, is because we had 6 huskies at the time, and Boris and one of our other huskies, who hasn't since then passed away, got into a fight, and then we tried to separate them. And when we separated them, Boris hit his leg against like the edge of a wall, and it was such a dumb accident because what the vet told us afterwards, if you would have just hit it a little bit at a different place, you would still have his leg. But it hit him right in the artery, and we didn't know that at the time. So we thought, okay, it's just a bruise, because, you know, dogs get into fights and then they have bruises and then they heal and then you move on and they're fine and they're jumping around and they're going crazy again. And we thought that was sort of the same thing with Boris. It's like, okay, it'll just, you know, he'll be fine. And he was fine at the beginning, so he would walk on the leg and everything. But then sort of the next day, he started getting really sort of like quiet, and he wouldn't really eat anymore, and he just lay, which was such an un-Boris thing to do, because Boris is loud and he walks around and like moves constantly. So then we went to the vet, and then sadly the vet told us that it hit his artery right there, and they had to amputate the leg. And then at first they wanted to amputate the whole leg, and then we sort of started saying, okay, but isn't there a possibility that he could get a prosthetic, because we sort of know it from humans, right? So we sort of searched it up, and then we didn't actually find anything at the beginning, but we're like, okay, we're not giving up. And then we saw Orthopets, where like their website and everything, and we thought, okay, we get in touch and say, okay, we have a husky, and you know, he's about to amputate his leg, and could you do anything about it? And while that was going on, we were sort of talking to the vet, because he's like, I need to do the surgery. And we were like, okay, but can you amputate as little as possible? He was like, I have to see. So he did an x-ray and he had a look, and he was like, okay, I can amputate it just below the knee. And that is sort of the amputation he has now. And then with Orthopets, with Orthopets, sort of the rest happened. They sent the kit, the impression kit, and the vet did it for us, and then they sent the prosthetic, and that's sort of how Boris has his prosthetic. And at the beginning, it was like, until we had the prosthetic, he got used to just hopping around on 3 legs. And so at the beginning, it was sort of getting him used to walking with 4 legs again, and he'd hop around and he'd just sort of drag his prosthetic leg along with him. But then we started to put it on more, and he realized, oh, okay, I can walk on that leg. I can stand up again. I can jump. And the good thing is we had other Huskies at the time, and so he wanted to play. And sometimes, you know, when they're playing, he sort of forgets that it's a prosthetic. And then he just started using it, like, oh, okay, yeah, look, now I can stand. Now I can, like, fight and play with others. And then sort of just snap, and then he just walk with it constantly. And yeah, now he's even running with it. So it's still a little bit of a getting used to. So he still sort of hops and then runs and then hops and then runs, but he's getting better at it.
So real quick, were you in Dubai at the time throughout this whole process?
Yes, we were in Dubai the whole time.
So Martin, you'll work with veterinarians anywhere in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. The distance and the location is not a constraint in any way.
And then Tara, you mentioned kind of the trial and error, you know, immediately after you used the prosthetic. Was there a certain time period where you were doing certain rehab and training to get him used to it? Because I look at him now and he's got a natural gait of a dog walking around. I don't see that normal hop that I saw in our dog Wyatt.
Yeah, the first week was really difficult. So the first week was really like, okay, show him that he has his legs, so we'd move the prosthetic along with him when he'd walk, and then sort of lift one front paw, put it down, lift the other front paw, and then sort of once at the end of that week, when we sort of saw, okay, he trusted his prosthetic a little, we lifted the leg he still had, and then he had to stand on that prosthetic leg. And at first he didn't like it at all. He was like, no, I'm not gonna stand, right? Then yeah, sort of he got used to it. And the second week was sort of when he slowly started to walk with it. So he'd walk a little bit and then hop, and then walk a little bit and then hop. And then sort of the third week was just, I don't know, just happened that he'd just walk consistently with it. But then the problem was he sort of got stuck in all the furniture. So he'd run around and then he'd lose his leg in the furniture, and then he'd come back with his leg dangling along with him. He's like, help. Right, but now he's gotten pretty good, so he can like sort of maneuver around the stuff and remember to tuck it in when he needs to.
So this does take some time, effort, and training, and the pet parent needs to be really involved. This is not a magic bullet. You're not going to attach a device and they're going to go run and play fly ball, which no tripod should ever do anyway.
No, that wasn't the case for Boris. He understood what he had to do relatively quickly, but he still had to learn it and sort of readapt himself to using it. It's also that sort of change when you take it off, because sometimes you have to take it off, and then he's like, okay, and then he hops around, and then you put it back on, and then he's like, okay, I can still hop, but I have a leg. Okay, now no more hopping, now walking, sort of, yeah.
I love the way you get into his mind. You know him so well. I'm curious. I want to back up a little bit. What was the length of time between when the vet told you that the leg needed to be amputated to the time the actual surgery took place?
It was less than a day. It was less than half a day. I don't remember.
Wow.
Time, but yeah, it was sort of, he told us in the afternoon, and then we're like, and then yeah, we sort of spent the afternoon, the night looking it up, and we're like, okay, prosthetic, possible, neat, little surgery. Told him like the morning, and he was like, okay. And then he sort of did it.
So this took some quick thinking. So for anyone listening, if you do have the luxury of time, do your homework, listen to some podcasts here, and ask those questions of the vet.
Yeah, definitely. Like, because most vets won't tell you at the beginning that you have the possibility of a prosthetic. They'll just tell you, okay, you need to amputate it. And then you sort of have to go out by yourself and go like, oh, okay, there is a possibility. And then if you tell the vet, look, there's a possibility, they'll go like, okay, there's a possibility, and this is what we can do. Sort of. That's at least how it is in Dubai.
No, it's like that here too. Now, had that veterinarian ever worked with a prosthetics manufacturer before?
He actually did. So he worked with Orthopets as well for a dog, but he was a small one, and he lost his front limb, part of it at least, as far as I remember.
So interestingly enough, so that veterinarian was still going to just do the full amputation, just like that on the fly. Martin, do you see that happen a lot?
I do. In the go ahead. The Boris, who you're seeing today, represents one of the most challenging prosthetic cases that you could possibly come up with, given the level of amputation and the challenges of that device. We think it's looking pretty normal and simple, but when you actually see the background, a veterinarian who has some experience with very low-level amputees and prosthetics would look at a Boris case and would not be able to conceptualize that it is also a prosthetic candidate. So we're back to that research that we've published to add that level of certainty, and in this case, opportunity or possibility.
Yeah, and like you, our goal is to get the information to veterinarians. I mean, veterinarians really are Tripawd's audience because we want them to be aware of these kinds of scenarios. So we appreciate all you're doing to get out there and get the education out. And then I was curious, Martin, is there any time when it's too late to do a prosthetic on a tripod? Because Tara had mentioned how, he started to get used to walking on 3 legs. So can you take a 6-year-old tripod who's been one all their life and put a prosthetic on and achieve success?
Assuming they have.
Yeah, assuming they have a
residual
remaining limb.
Yep, and the same. Yeah, so a couple of answers here. We call it productive struggling. When you first get your device and you're trying to figure it out, and nobody told you why this thing is on your body to even start, but productive struggling. So really what we're going to say is whether you are a tripod from amputation 6 years ago, or you were born with, as we were joking earlier, the flipper. If you're born missing parts, either way, with rehabilitation therapy, sports medicine, prosthetics, it's the cliche, but all things are possible. And the question really is, how long is it going to take you to learn?
So the things that come to mind are, time, cost, and effort involved in rehab and training. Are these the primary roadblocks to educating the pet parent being willing to proceed with prosthetics?
So if we put the cost piece on the front, once we've experienced what the cost, both the device, but also surgery, when we understand that, and if that's a feasibility, then we move on to, this is now in running terms, this is the third shoe for you. It's a thing that you maintenance, and it's a thing that you work with on a daily basis. So, there is a time commitment. I'm sure, as Tara can tell us, it's not that you just toss it on and then forget about it. You're invested in the quality of life of your pet.
Tara, can you give us a day in the life of Boris, from the time he wakes up to the time he goes to bed? How involved are you in the device?
And discuss the quality of life that Martin just mentioned. How is the device helping that?
So basically, when he sleeps, he takes it off so he doesn't wear it. In the night, he doesn't wear it. And then in the morning, he will usually put it on, and then he'll run around and walk and stuff, do his prosthetic Boris-like stuff. And then sort of at lunchtime, we sort of take it off. So he'll just, when he's tired, we take it off because he doesn't particularly like sleeping with it. So he gets sort of because he can't really lay on. He can lay on it. It just sort of pushes into his back, and he doesn't sleep well when he does that. So we take it off, and then he sleeps a little, and then we just sort of leave it off until the afternoon, and then early afternoon till the entire evening, he puts it back on, and he'll just run, play, and do his normal stuff. So we put it on a lot, but when he sleeps, we take it off because he doesn't like it.
Yeah, and that's the same for human amputees. How much time does it actually take you to put it on him?
That depends entirely on Boris, because many times when he's super cooperative and it goes like a minute and it's on you, you're like, off you go. And there's times when he's like, no, I don't really want to put it on. I'd rather play. I have other things to do. And then you're like, he kind of moves around and you have to chase after him with the prosthetic. Like, here, put it on, please. Or I'll just sort of pull his leg and he's like, no, I'm not giving it to you. And then you can't put it in. And you're just like, I'll give you a treat if you push it down. And he's like, no. And he's like, here's a treat. And then I'll just walk off. And so entirely depends on how Boris is feeling about it.
So go ahead.
No, I was just saying, unlike, certain human prosthetics, it's not just a socket and you put it on. There's certain mechanics with a dog that require some strapping and harnessing to keep it in place when they're in
It's like
motion.
that with humans too, but you're more about being in tune with Boris and his psychological needs at the time to put it on. It's, you have to follow his lead.
Yeah, it is. It's really like that. It's also sort of understanding him and understanding how he deals with the prosthetic and like what hurts, when does it hurt, like what makes it feel uncomfortable. It's because it goes over his back and to part of his other leg, so his other leg is involved as well. You have to make sure not to make it too tight or that his fur is stuck in something that he doesn't like, because then he'll just stand there like this, like, and then you're just like, okay, something's wrong, and then you take it off, and you put it back on.
Lifting it right now.
Now, you are so well versed in the process now. How did you learn how to do this?
The beginning was really difficult, not really, because there is a pamphlet, so they show you how to put it on in pictures, right, which is wonderful, but that would only work if the dog was cooperating, right? So cooperate, and we're like, okay, but he has to put his leg down, and this has to go in there, and then it's like, right? So it was a struggle. So in the beginning, like 3 people had to stand around him to just like strap each part to him, so and hold him and like treats and like everything. And now it's just like one person does it. You grab Boris, put it on his leg, and then off he goes. And it's practice really.
And for the quality of life for Boris, does this device allow you to go on longer walks or allow him to go free play more frequently or longer?
Yeah, it does. So he can walk just as long as the other Huskies we have who have all legs. And he can play with the others, especially when he has that prosthetic on, because we have a girl and she loves to stand on the other ones, and that's her form of playing. And when he have his leg, he'd sort of always fall down.
Sure.
He had an advantage. But now with his leg, he's like, no, I can stand. I'm gonna play with you. So it's really it's amazing for him.
Yeah, we used to see Wyatt, his remaining rear leg would buckle if he was playing hard and a dog stood on him like that. Martin, what is the ideal frame of mind for a human, a pet parent who is thinking about this? Because Tara seems like she's really just motivated to make this thing happen and get Boris to accept the prosthetic with a lot of patience. But how would you describe the ideal pet parent candidate?
Yeah, and I'll maybe answer this as what we were just discussing. Boris is doing things with his friends and play for quality of life, but it also means that we are thinking long term. We're thinking about the accumulation of effects, and I think that's the motivation for us as pet parents when we are when we have the privilege to make a decision for prosthetics, because it allows us to. The ideal pet parent is someone who is active with their pet or likes their pet to remain active and is looking to make a positive and long-term quality of life impact. And I think that really speaks to the individual. There's probably some technical things like you're not overly concerned about pulling straps through a buckle, or you feel comfortable holding a limb that has been partially amputated. There's some things here that might show up for the individual pet parent, but you're vested in comfort and function. And if that's you as a pet parent, and that's what you want for your pet, prosthetics is just an exciting way that you get to do it every single day. You get to be the one to administer this healthcare. You get to be the doc, if you will, to do this for your pet.
I think the long-term benefits of the prosthetic are the important message I'm taking away there. Is like the compensatory issues that are resolved without one are addressed by the prosthetic. But one thing I hear on social media all too often is the tripod owners out there who say, he'll be fine. Oh, he doesn't need a prosthetic. He'll amaze you, that sort of thing. So I'd like to hear, the feedback from both of you, but Tara, what would you tell people out there who are providing advice to people questioning prosthetics that just say, oh, he doesn't need it, he'll be fine?
Yeah, I understand them because sort of a couple of weeks ago, Boris started to be able to stand without his prosthetic as well. So he'd be able to stand on stuff that was higher than him, and he started to adapt better at just not having that leg. And you look at him, you're like, oh, whatever, it's fine. You know, he's doing stuff that he likes to do, and he's happy. But then you sort of compare it to when he's wearing his prosthetic, and it's just like it gives him that extra security, that extra ability, stability to do things. And I always say, like, yeah, I understand your dog, okay, has 3 legs, he's doing well, and Boris is doing well too, but trust me when I say that when you put on that leg, it's just like, it's like having his leg back. It's like amazing. It's like, they will not think, oh, you know, it's not part of me, I'm just putting it on. They'll literally think, oh, look, my leg is back. You know, I'm excited about this. So yeah, sort of.
And Martin, would you say the long-term benefits are most important, or what would you tell those people to say, oh, he doesn't need it, he'll be fine?
Yeah, so I like to live without compromise in my personal life. I bring that same passion to what we do here. Our dogs and cats, they've been designed for 4 legs. So if we don't have to compromise on that, that's prosthetics, that's comfort and function. So we can't negotiate that. We're designed to have 4 legs. So if we can't, then our goal should be, in my opinion, to restore and not compromise and return to 4 legs. And I think Tara and Boris are great examples of just the truth in that. We can't negotiate that topic. Now, for our pet parents who have to make the really hard choices of full limb amputations, you know, there's a whole nother talk on now we're compromising and how do we reduce the impact in the long term, because we can't escape that. Gravity on Earth doesn't change. Thermodynamics are present. So there is an accumulation of cost. So how do we adjust and take away freedom and function because of the consequences that are accumulating over time? In prosthetics, we don't compromise there, so we can enjoy the long-term success of comfort and function.
Well said. Well said. I would say that, you know, around the Tripawds community, we like to say, be more dog, be like our dogs and live in the now. But when it comes to function, as tripod parents, we have to think in the long term. Mm-hmm. We have to, because if somebody had told me how much osteoarthritis would affect our Wyatt's life in the end, we would have done things a lot differently. So thanks to you and the forward-thinking orthopedic vets that are out there, and general practice vets who are now discovering the benefits of prosthetics. Three-legged dogs and cats' lives are getting better and better all the time. So thank you for what you're doing. Tara, thank you for being a great example to people who are in this situation where they have to decide. We plan on sharing your experience all over the place. And we do have some video and great photos that we will build into this talk and share with the community. Thank you for sharing those with us.
Perfect. Thank you for having us. Me and sometimes Boris.
We encourage everyone to go to orthopets.com or visit @orthopets anywhere in social media, or tripawds.com/tag/orthopets for all of our previous discussions with Martin. And we look forward to sharing new developments as they arise. So thanks again, both, for joining us.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much.
For more examples and information about prosthetics for tripods, visit tripawds.com/tag/prosthetics. And don't miss Tripawd Talk Radio episode number 112 for complete details about custom orthotic devices for pets from Orthopets founder Martin Kauffman.
He's a 3-legged dog and he's still pretty good.